Dr. Martise and Dr. Tish. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. How are you?
We are good.
We're doing great. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. You guys look good. Look at you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking like a healthy marriage over there.
Yes.
So
We're trying to do it right.
Yes. So thank you guys who are watching tonight. You know what we do. Send our guest speakers some love. Let them know where you are watching from, your name and where you're watching from. You know what to do. I'm Lena Lassiter. I am an advanced grief recovery method specialist. I have my master's in human services counseling with the concentration in trauma and PTSD. I am a director in corporate America, a co-author, and more importantly, a servant of God. We have a nonprofit called Forever Healed, and what we do is we help those who are suffering from a loss of any kind to help them restore, reclaim, and recover their lives. We do this several different ways. We offer one-to-one and group grief recovery classes. We also go into corporate America and talk about the hidden cost of grief in the workplace. We go to churches and we do workshops for churches to talk about the church hurt in our churches and how we can heal as a body of Christ. I'm also on the National Bereavement Coalition Board, and I'm an active member of the National Bereavement Coalition for Homicide Service Providers. And we are also an active partner with the Richmond Police Department Victim Witness Assistance Program. So we offer our services to those clients for free who have suffered a loss due to a homicide. So again, we have a good one tonight. I have with me Drs. Martise and Tish Coleman, and we are going to be discussing healing in our marriages. And I already shared with them that you guys have asked for this. So thank you so much. Let me acknowledge a few people who are here. Hi, Regina Austin. Thank you for joining. All right. I love when we get men coming. Hi, Eugene Austin. Thank you for coming. Minister Roz, thank you for joining us tonight. Tanya, thank you for joining us tonight. Hi, Marisha, thank you for joining us tonight. And Kathy, thank you so much for being here tonight. We acknowledge you. Thank you for joining us. So, two special guests, y'all. Dr. Martise and Dr. Tish Coleman. They are the lead servants of Kingdom Way Ministries located in Richmond, Virginia. And one of their objectives is to teach, train, empower, and develop individuals in the way of discipleship, as well as helping them identify and operate fully in their purpose. They are the founders of Relationship Empowerment with Tish and Tish, a platform used for providing relationship coaching and empowerment to individuals seeking to build, restore, and maintain healthy relationships. How about that? How about that? To build, restore, and maintain healthy relationships. Their transparency concerning relationships and marriage, including their own, has allowed them to be embraced and received by many, leaving a life-changing impact. Let me tell y'all something. That's the truth. Those are just not words on a paper. Because let me tell you how I met them. I was asked to speak at an event that they were speaking at. I came a little bit early because I wasn't clear about the time that I was supposed to be there. They told me that there was a session already in play on marriages. So I went and sat in on their session. Let me tell you what Lena was doing, trying to scramble to find a pen so that I could take copious notes. I missed the first 20 minutes, but I left there with 2 pages of notes and my spirit man on fire because they were authentic. They were transparent. They were loving towards one another. They were real with certain topics. They complimented one another, during the session. And I said, geez, God, I missed the first 20 minutes and I feel like this. I took notes. So thank you. So I just want all of you to know that that's real. That's not just a script that they put on a piece of paper, and you're going to understand why tonight. They both hold graduate degrees in ministry. Dr. Tish is currently in her final year, yay, of completing her doctoral program. And they are proud parents of 3 amazing children, 2 daughters and a son. And I had to read this twice because I was like, wait a minute, 2 beautiful grand princesses? Y'all look like y'all about 25.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their belief is if God is always placing growth opportunities before us, we should always seize the opportunity to grow. Amen. Woo! Amen. Oh my goodness, look at this. Hi Tanya. They're pouring in tonight, y'all. Hi Doris, thank you for joining us. Hi Tanya, thanks for being here. Hi Marisha, thanks for joining us. Hey Winchell and Edgar, thank you guys for being here. Author Pat, thank you. Oh, look at that. We got some marriage couples, Edgar and Winchell. All right. Hi Shaquana, thank you for joining us tonight. All right, so we got a house full, y'all. So I was trying to do my research, but I'm gonna let you guys flow tonight. I want them to get what, if they can just get a portion of what I got that day, I know they're gonna be all right. Because I'm still digesting and chewing on that word that you guys gave that day. But I did a little bit of research, and marriage therapists and counselors, they talk about things that we can do to sabotage our marriage. But we're not talking about sabotaging our marriages tonight. We're talking about strengthening our marriages, building each other up. But I want to talk about some things that we need to stop doing. I'm just going to mention 6 things, guys, and I'm going to let you take it. And you can elaborate, do whatever you want to do. The floor is yours. But what they said, 6 things that we can do to plant negative seeds over our marriages is expecting one person to be everything for us. Mm-hmm. So to make life rich and meaningful, we need friends, we need coworkers, we need support systems, we need hobbies. We can't expect our spouse to be everything for us, right?
Not at all.
The second thing they said was a person who keeps score of everything that they have done, right? So you did this, but you did that.
Mm-hmm.
But you did this, right? So now we're keeping score.
Right.
The third thing was emotional babysitting. Your partner is not a mind reader. And no matter how often they are around you or how well they know you, you cannot pick up on every nuance to determine how you're feeling or that they're feeling.
Wow.
Another thing, couples think of themselves as individuals who happen to be together. One of the most toxic things counselors have found in marriages is that when couples think of themselves as individuals and not as a united front. And then blaming their partner for all issues in the relationship. Blaming their partner for all the issues in the relationship and not taking ownership of their own dysfunctional role.
Wow.
And then the last thing that they said, guys, was finances. If you're marrying someone with the bad credit, they say the bad credit score, you should know how and why they ended up with it, lest you find yourself in their shoes very quickly.
Those are some powerful points there.
Yeah.
I think it's important too when we don't listen to each other, right? Because most people, they listen to respond, but they don't really listen to heal. So with that being said, I'm turning it over to you guys.
All right. What was that first one?
The first one, let me go back to that one. It says expecting one person to be everything for them.
You want to take that? You want to head off?
Yeah, I'll dive right in with that one. I believe, I like that first one because every person, we're one individual, right? We can't do everything. A lot of times people have what I call unrealistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And they put demands on people, not realizing that they can't really meet that. You have to understand that you have to know your boundaries and limitations, and it has to be conversations about that. If you have those unrealistic expectations, it creates a world and an environment that is not really successful, and it develops a tension and a frustration within the union because you're expecting someone to perform or do something, otherwise they're not really able to do. And then comes in disappointment. Yeah. Because you have that disappointment, like, oh, I thought you could do. And so we have to be realistic And what does that look like for you? And then not including other people's expectations or unrealistic realities into your world. You know what I'm saying? Where you are is where you are. Your husband or your wife, you have to know them, and you have to realize that they don't have 8 arms. You know, it's that they may be great at what they do, but you have to know that there's a such thing as boundaries and limitations. And once we realize that, it will help. There's been so many marriages or people we've talked to, and they have unrealistic expectations, and then comes the disappointment, or feeling rejected or feeling let down. You dropped the ball, you missed it. Well, wait a minute. I mean, how's your standard?
Come on. Come on.
Your standard, it's nothing wrong with having one, but if it's through the roof and it's it's not realistic, it's not real. And so I think in the world we live in, we have to be cognitive. There's an awareness that we need to be aware. Okay, these are the realistic expectations. This is where we are. This is what I know can be done. And don't expect people to do everything, because there are no superheroes. I know you got Superman, you got Batman and Wonder Woman and all those great characters that we watch on TV, but that's not in the real world.
Come on.
We're not flying in the air and here to come and save the day all the time. I mean, we're human beings. Yeah, we are spiritual people, but we're housed in an earth suit. We're human beings living everyday, day-to-day life. And so if you're looking for that woman or that man to be everything, then you're really setting yourself up for failure, and a fall. And that's how people get hurt, right? People get hurt, and because they're leaning solely on that person, not realizing that the person is a human being. And if you don't take the pressure off, that's the word I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Take the pressure off that person, because the pressure can honestly break that person, and you may never know it. You may never know it, that it's really causing a lot of a hurt, or causing pressure of frustration from them on their end, because they're like, listen, I didn't ask for you to put this on me. And I think the word I want to use, I'm going to let Pastor Tish come in, is a burden. You create a burden on a person. And that's where the issue comes in. And so I think what's healthy is taking that burden off, talking about what it is, and saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is what I felt, you're doing in our marriage. Let's change the narrative, right? Let's change the narrative of what is going on. Let's pivot. Let's move in a different direction, because I am not a superhero. Capes are not real. And I know that's cute, but in the real world, I am not, I'm not Wonder Woman.
Right. And you said something too about that expectation, right? Because I heard a long time ago, Dr. Martise, that, it's not the people that disappoint us, it's our expectations.
Yep.
The expectations that we put on those individuals. And like you said, then it feels like a burden. We're putting a burden on somebody, and it's just undue stress.
That's it.
Yeah.
One of the things about that too is with those expectations, if you are having these issues in the marriage, you didn't do what was necessary before you got married to discuss your expectations. So you have to come to the table and you have to lay out what you have. You have to lay out what's going on with you, how your thought process is, how you see things, what you're expecting, how you were raised. Depending on how you saw your mother and your father, if you had both parents in the home, that's a high expectation, because we know it's a 50-50 chance when you're getting into a relationship if they've had a healthy home life. And so if I have had a healthy home life, but he didn't, and I'm coming into a relationship and I'm expecting him to be the type of father or have those traits that I saw my father have, I'm already setting him up for failure.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to always hit on his shortcomings and never bring light to his growth moments. And so when we met and we started dating, I put on the table everything. He knew that I was born and raised in the projects. There were some things that he found out afterwards, but it wasn't anything bad or crippling. But it was like, wow, I would have thought that you really did have that, because when we got married, I didn't have a GED. I was a high school dropout. But within, what was it, 30 or 60 days?
Something, yeah.
It's about 30 or 60 days from that moment of telling him I had my GED.
Right.
So, you know, the expectations, God exceeded my expectations when I met him, because everything that I saw in him, I saw where he got it from when I met his father.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, I know I got, oh yeah, I've already seen some of this stuff in action. You know, a gentleman 100% interested in me, interested in my mind, interested in my ministry. You know, that was the thing that I was looking out for. I did not want, I've seen so many come in expecting this, expecting that. And then even the worst part is you may come in with okay expectations, but then you get caught up in the reality television shows. You get caught up in seeing what this pastor looks like and what his life looks like and his wife and all of this stuff, not realizing that a lot of the things that we are allowing to dictate and control our perceptions of marriage and relationships, they're really just a facade.
Yeah.
So now we are allowing our homes and our lives to be wrecked by things that are fake. Right. It's not even real. These aren't even real conditions, or at the least, they're not. They're just not good conditions. These are not good reasons to allow people to come in. You are letting drama create a irreparable space that is going to end up in divorce. You can't go by what you see on TV. You can't judge by what you see in a ministry or in a church. You can't go by the clothing, the outward laughter, because those that are laughing on the outside could be crying and fighting suicide on the inside.
Wow.
They could be spiritually dying and on the verge of naturally killing themselves. You know, we have to think about where we are. And I did not want to fall into that. My husband could tell you, when we sat down and started talking, most of, if not 95% of our conversation had to do with who we were, where we came from, our aspirations, our dreams, where we saw ourselves in the future, just all of those things. And my credit increased after I got married, because I was learning some other things to do. And I'm not ashamed to say it. What you're not taught when you're growing up, you will show proof of that when you become an adult.
Ooh,
but because I was, do I need to say that again?
Please do.
What you are not taught as when you're growing up, you will show it. You will reveal all of that in your life when you become an adult, because you will start to walk out those things you did not get. I did not get financial understanding. I did not get what being a good steward was about. I did not learn about credit scores. I did not learn about paying bills on time. I did not learn. Many don't know that even if you're late on your light bill, that can go against your credit in some instances. But we're not taught these things. So if, you know, like I said, born and raised in the projects, my mother had me when she was 15. I did not follow in those footsteps to the letter, but you are looking at someone that was very happy when she got a job and was elevated to the point that she didn't need food stamps anymore. Okay. I'm not against the help, but I said, Lord, take me off of it, because I want you to be my only help.
Yeah.
But these are the things that I didn't know. I did self-teach myself some things. And I also learned from my former pastor, who was a very good steward with her money. And I wanted to be blessed in the manner that God was blessing her. You know, she was doing good with her money. So it was like, even when things got tight, you never saw that tightness in their household. And because I walked close with that pastor, she was able to share with me, you know, the different things that she did. But also with my husband, you have to not be afraid or ashamed to sit down and be naked. And I don't mean physically in your clothing, but I'm talking about bare your soul, be naked, open up those secret places. This is the person you're going to join yourself to, but you don't want him to see that you never learned how to balance your checkbook, but you're expecting him to be able to have all this money for you. You're expecting him to be able to pay all the bills, but he also has to balance the account. No, you want him to trust you with the account, but you don't know how to do checks and balances. You don't know how to say no to that pair of shoes. You don't know how to say no to going into that clothing store, or now we're doing everything online. You don't know how to say no to swiping or putting in that card, but you have these expectations. So now you're causing friction in a space where there should be peace and a united front.
Whew. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you started going into the financial piece a little bit too, right? Because they said that finances is one thing that will cause division and strife. It can in a relationship. And I've had people come to me and say, well, my spouse, they're just not, they don't manage, the finances well. So again, I think it goes back to in the beginning, just being naked and talking about what you don't know, right?
And
But
get rid of offense.
yeah.
Yeah. Everyone comes from broken homes, right? No one comes from a perfect background.
It's broken in some way.
Yeah, it's broken in some way. And even if sometimes the parents that raised you were broken. So I think we have to be aware of that. There's no perfect, parenting or perfect background, but we have to work with what we have and build upon that. Everyone has a history, but that history doesn't determine or paints the narrative of your present or your future. But you change those things, based on decisions, choices, and it's all about a mindset. It's really all about a mindset. Me and Pastor Tish, one of the things she talks about a lot for us was communication. And being consistent in communication.
Mm.
Everyone is on different levels of communication or talking. Everyone has a different language, but learning how to connect your language and being consistent in it and keeping that door open, right? If that door closes, then it creates a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of disagreements, and tension in the household. So you really have to keep those doors open. And she was mentioning something that's important about parenting. You how you were raised does come into your present, into your marriage. But then some of those belief systems that you learn, you can take with you. Some of those belief systems that weren't beneficial, you can remove them out of your life and incorporate other things that will allow you to become better. I always believe it's important to have other people that are around you that are a little step ahead of you, who have the experience, who've been exposed to certain things, because experience sometimes is the weight. It's a weight to experience, and allows you to glean and lean in and learn some valuable tips and tools that can help you navigate. I don't know why I'm going this way, but I think it's important for that. Having an ear to listen, to be open to what is important and imperative for your future, because that's going to determine your success. And so I think, like I said again, everything is about the language, the environment, and making sure that you're around the right people who are talking the same language. And remember that I know this word I'm going to use is a little aggressive, but everyone was dropped before. All of us was dropped. All of us was mishandled or in some way, form of fashion. But we don't let that determine our destiny, and we don't allow that to navigate our future. Right? We make the decision to say, I'm going to become better, and these are the things that I'm going to do to improve.
Yeah. And my husband said something to me when we first got together, after we had gotten married rather. He said, nobody should be offended when it comes down to discussing your finances. Be mature enough and open enough to let the stronger vessel lead.
Right.
So if you're not strong in handling the finances, if you don't have the ability to refrain from overspending or spending in general, if you don't have the discipline to say, I don't need this, or even truly understand the difference between a need and a want, then you don't need to handle the finances.
Right.
Let the stronger of the two do that. And so my husband was handling the finances when we first got married. That wasn't to say that I didn't know how to handle the finances, because I, was handling my finances long before I met him. However, I was never one to handle finances in a joined relationship,
Right.
let alone being married.
Yeah.
And so I didn't take offense to it because I didn't even know how to respond to it. I was like, okay, are you saying that it's your account? Because of course, I'm gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even have a bank. I didn't have a checking account.
It was my
I didn't. I didn't have a checking account. And I had a credit union. I did have a credit union account, right? Yeah, I did have a credit union account. I didn't use it often. I didn't try to go in and get money out, you know.
Right.
So that's why it was one of those out of sight, out of mind things. You know, I paid my bills, car note, whatever. But it also was in a place where I needed to drive to get there. I'm not doing that. So money was able to be held. But when we came together, it wasn't like I had this, you know, all of this knowledge about finances and stuff. I was really just starting to educate myself on credit scores. And, you know, I didn't even want to look at my credit score because I knew she was jacked up. I knew she was. But that was a part of us. And people don't understand when I say this, that was another part of our intimacy.
Oh, it was. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
People don't think that being able to discuss your finances, how much more intimate is it to become so naked that they see everything about you? If you physically take off everything, they see everything. So if a lady has got herself bound up to look like a Coke bottle, but then, you know, everything fall out, you still love all of that. Okay, boom. That's an intimate moment to me because you're seeing the heart of me through all of my flaws.
Yeah.
So my financial flaws, my financial setbacks, I was still attractive. I was still a strong woman. I was still intelligent to him. I just was misfortunate. I didn't have what was needed to teach me how to be a good steward, but I had a pastor that was able to impart some of those things. And so better late than never.
That's right.
But, you know, I let him handle it. But in letting him handle it, I said, okay, well, I'll balance the checkbook then. And so he would let me know what was paid, what wasn't, this, that, and the third. And I would just do the checks and the balances. And then it got to a point where, what was it? Things just got so, I was working and things just started getting so, we just started getting more and more and more. And he couldn't handle it all. And so at that point, he said, I believe God had said, you know, it's time for you to shift it. She's got it. Don't worry about it.
It was trust.
But that's what I mean.
I know me, Lord. I'm just being real. I was like, Lord.
He freaked out when I told him, I said, honey, we've done everything else now.
Father, help me.
But you forgot to do one thing. He said, what's
God,
that one thing? I said, you didn't add me to the checking account. He was like,
It's true. She's smiling because she knows me. I'm be transparent. I was like, no, negative. This is not a fellow. It is, but you know, financial literacy has a language, right? And she's right. I didn't know everything neither. We were still building and learning and growing. I just think, I know what Pastor Tish is saying is true. You have to really be open. You really do, and take that wisdom, you know, from each other so you can build, because it's not about one person, it's about you guys collectively, you know, and learning and growing together, because the more you learn, the more you expose yourself to that area. We're talking about finances, the more you can be successful. It's not about someone having an upper hand on you. And I think in our culture, we do that a lot. It's like, I don't want you running me. You're not going to tell me what to do. And that may be a thing also in other cultures or ethnicities, but it's not about that. It's about allowing that person to navigate the finances and help so we can all be successful. Me, you, the kids, everyone. So we won't be somewhere out on the street trying to figure out what we're going to do, because finances breaks the backs of marriages. People can speak in tongues and can run around and jump and flip. And after service, I got to deliver. God's good. And go home and you're cussing and still fussing about the money. People don't understand that's one of the major pillars in marriages. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does. You need to sustain and steward well. Say that again. You have to sustain and steward well. You know, so people are just, you know, forget. You know, we're spiritual beings, but God has given us wisdom. I mean, why do we have the book of Proverbs? You know, is it just there just read? You know, it's for us to learn. We have to get rid of the nature and spirit of arrogance and pride in our culture, and you know, talk about it. And even if it's one person, have that conversation with them, because sometimes one person in the marriage can make the entire marriage struggle because of ignorance.
Wow.
Because you don't want, because ignorance is the lack, just lacking the knowledge, or ignorance shows the immaturity, that you don't really want to level up or grow up in a space, in a place where you can help your family be successful. And I've seen this happen on both sides, with the wife or with the husband. And if you're a husband, if you're leading, and God has called you to be the foundation, you're taking your family to the future. So if you are resistant, that's a level of ignorance. I'm gonna be honest. You're not allowing your family to grow. Cut me off when you're ready to cut me off, because I'm in the vein. you know, you're not allowing your family to be successful, and you're hindering the progress. Right? No one can really move ahead. Your children can move ahead because you're allowing, you put the lid on. Take the lid off. And I really feel that right now. Take the lid off in that area and say, you know what? It's time for me to learn again. I'm going back to school. And it doesn't, hey, if I got to go back to the elementary levels of finances or whatever it is in my life, if it's not even finances, let me go back to the class, and let me go in the front row. I'm not sitting in the back this time. I'm going to put myself in the front row. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to take copious notes. And if I don't know it, I'm going to make myself available to learn. I mean, I'm saying that for me, because that's what I had to do. I had to keep relearning over and over and over. And there was times Tish had educated me, even as we grew in finances, and I was like, wow, and the Lord was showing me she's growing, so I was learning lessons too, as we began to grow together in this thing. So, yeah.
That's good. So we talked about our expectations, how we can't put our expectations on our partners, the burden of that.
Right.
I like Dr. Martise, how you talked about the intentional communication as well, right? And how you both talked about just being naked and open and being honest about where we are.
Yeah.
And our growth process. I love that, because again, so many couples will say we argue a lot over the finances because somebody is spending and somebody feel like we should be saving and somebody feel like we should be here, right? So this was a good nugget. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was something I was thinking about. Go ahead.
I want to throw this piece in too. When individuals in a marriage say we're arguing about the finances, sometimes what I've learned, especially in my coaching phase now, is that somebody's trying to control the finances. And so we're arguing because, and I have this joke with Martise, because my husband was like this with money. I mean, like this, to the point that he said, what did you get left from such and such? Right? I said, I have like $5. And the way he said it, I always tend to exaggerate it a little bit.
Yes, you will.
He said, hold that $5.
Hold that.
Right? But the way it came across was like, hold that $5. Don't you spend that money. Hold it. I'm going to need that. And I said, but that's my $5. We were still in a place where finances were very, very tight.
It was.
And one thing about me is I'm not going to rob Peter to pay Paul. I'm going to tell Peter what I need. I'm going to tell Paul what I need. I'm going to tell John what I need. And they're going to all give me a piece. And by the end of the conversation, I'm have everything I need. And they can still go ahead and keep what they got. He knew I became that one that I would shift money. I would move this over here. Okay, that just hit. So I'm going to take some of this and put it over here. He would say, well, honey, what's been paid? I would say this, and this. I have an extension on this. This is getting paid next week. That is already taken care of for at least 2 months.
Yeah.
So I became this one that could maneuver. And it got to the point where when he would talk to me about money, he wouldn't even ask me, are we straight? He would say, what have you done? Because I know you done. I know you done made sure everything is right. And I got that confidence that, okay, so now I don't have to tell him how or what, as long as it's still legal, as long as it doesn't bring anything negative on our household or our name. Right. But do what God has been helping me to learn to do, because while he is the owner of the company, I'm the CEO. Woo! All right.
He's the owner of the company. So he's going to deal with what he needs to deal with. I have to make sure that everything else from me all the way down is taken care of. And so if he has to come home and then take care of my job too, why am I there?
That's
Right.
If and this kind of segues into that thing of putting everything on to your spouse or your husband, because my husband used to want to argue, and this was a good kind of argument about me being Mrs. Fix It.
Yeah.
He didn't like it that I could do some electrical work because he didn't have to come home and do, but he didn't like it that I could actually change my own oil if I really had to. He didn't like it that I could go to the auto store and I knew exactly what I needed to buy for my car. And then he was like, "Babe, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it." We got Google and all of these other things. You think I'm not using YouTube? You think I'm not? I know the make and model of my car. I know the VIN number, just all of those things. But then God had to help him and say, listen, what you were raised to do, what you saw being done, that's not your life. I gave you a partner that would help balance you out. Husbands should never have the idea in their mind that they have to be all to end all.
You know what? I need you to stop stepping on the toes in this household right now.
But I mean, it's a painful thing to see a husband struggling and fighting to be the husband, to be the man, and we are stripping him of his testosterone.
Let me tell you, because I went and got this little cabinet over the weekend and the little fireplace on the inside of it. So I came home. I guess what? I got on YouTube. I came up here and I started putting it together. And my husband said, "You're impatient." And I was like, "Well, where did that come from?" I said, "I'm not impatient. I can do this. It's not that hard." And, and I just kept putting it together. Then I went and got me a bookshelf. I said, "Oh, I can put the cabinet together. I'm going to put my bookshelf together too." And he said it again. "You're being impatient." He was using the word impatient, but he wanted to do this for me. But I'm saying to myself, I'm a big girl. I can use these little tools. I can put this together, and putting it together. But to your point, you have a partner who they're trying to help you.
Yeah. Right.
And in those moments, I'm saying, well, I'm independent. I don't need you right now. I can do this on my own.
Just learning to adjust and to navigate with it. And I think that was for me. My father has been a person who was good with his hands and did a lot in our home. The environment I came from, just he spearheaded a lot of projects. So for me, I had to adjust my world and adapt to new models. I did. I had to adapt to new models that were good for me, and actually I had to see it being beneficial because for me it was always my father set the kind of expectation or for himself, but it rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
And then I was able to realize, okay, well, Miss Tinkerbell can just do this herself. I'm gonna let her do it, let her tinker away, and I got to that place where I would just allow her, we just put something together this weekend, our fireplace, and we both were working together, just getting it done. And at the end, I was like, look, I'm tired. You just take the rest of this out. You go ahead. But it was a great project. It took about 5 hours. It felt like
like 5. It was 3 because we stopped.
Yeah, it was a long, but we got it done. But it's just learning to adapt and adjust. And in your marriage, you're gonna always do that. As you grow together, you're gonna constantly have to adjust and adapt because you both are two people together. You're evolving and you're changing. It was something I wanted to kind of throw in where I don't want to lose train of thought. We're talking about with finances. I want to say something that I feel very important in our culture, or just in society. I think secrecy is dangerous, it's life-threatening, and it puts your marriage on life support.
Say that again, Dr. Martise.
Secrecy is dangerous, and it will put your marriage on life support. We have to be open, and it comes in the area in that finance piece, or even if there are issues or struggles that we're going through in our marriage or relationship. If we try to say I got it and keep it in the hidden and hide it, it's going to make matters worse. I know that's something that we may feel that the secrecy is going to it's there to provide protection, but it's going to bring harm. And that's why a lot of times things, as people grow in their marriages, things hit them in the face because they haven't conversed about it and they wanted to cover it up. And then everything is all over the place. And then you get that famous phrase, well, why didn't you tell me this in the first place? And so we have to be very aware of those behaviors, not to put our marriage on life support and talk about it. And even if we don't like it, we have to even say, I did this with my wife. This is not a comfortable conversation right now. And literally, I'll tell her, this is not a comfortable conversation right now. I want to have with you, but I'm going to have it anyway.
Right.
Because what I'm doing is I'm breaking a part of myself, right? I'm breaking off whatever that's there, that belief system, and I'm moving into a new space. I'm becoming better. I'm evolving. Because to talk about your money and to say what you don't know, that takes a lot of strength. It takes courage. And when you do it, you're actually helping everybody around you. There's times me and Tisha said, listen, I've told her, I don't know. It's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't know the answer right now. Let me get back to you. Or maybe you should look it up and find it. It allows us to keep that humility, I think I would say, in our union.
Yeah.
That no one is greater than the next one. God put us together to be a team and to cover each other. But, secrecy it brings a void. And we have to be very intentional about making sure that we don't let that, because it'll blind us and it will do more harm than good.
I like that. The secrecy, and also talking to your spouse, right? This is going to be uncomfortable, but talk to your spouse.
Yeah.
Because I heard this recently where someone said that, like their parents kind of view them more like a friend. And then they would hear things about their mom or their father, from that parent that they shouldn't have heard. So they kind of felt like they were in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you say that, right, talk to your spouse. Don't talk to your kids about the spouse. Don't talk to your friends. Talk to your spouse first. They shouldn't be left in the dark. If we have issues with our spouse, talk to your spouse, even if it's uncomfortable.
It is.
And another thing about talking to your spouse and not your best friend, I don't care if it's not on a professional level, if you're not for coaching or counseling. This is another thing that can not just put your marriage on life support, but pull the plug.
Ooh.
When you discuss your negativity regarding your spouse to those that are close to you, and then you wonder why they don't respect them. Because when you give them the ins and outs of the dirt, not saying that you can't confide, but only confide in who God has led you to confide in, because that person can carry the weight of what you have to release.
Yeah.
Not everyone is built off of a brick system. Some people are like the three pigs and the wolf. Somebody has straw, somebody has dirt, and only a few have the brick. But if you keep putting your information into straw baskets and then expecting it to float, that's not going to work. If you continue to put your information or your heart, you're trying to, you're just putting everything, all of this stuff into a clay molded bowl, but you never ever made sure that it was set. It wasn't burned. It wasn't tried. Come on, about the being tried in the fire. Right. It was not tested or proven that it could carry it, let alone hold it. That's going to become mud, and it gets nasty. And that's where that whole confrontation of you telling my business over here, so now everything's getting nasty now. If you are going to discredit your spouse, just hush and leave. Just hush and leave. Because at the end of the day, what happens is when you try to expose one, you end up exposing yourself. Because I'm telling them about how he ain't no good and he ain't this and he ain't that. But I believe your vow said through sickness and in health, through good and the bad. So you dishonor God. You dishonor the vow you took before your family, between you, him, and God. And then you dishonor your spouse and yourself to these individuals that you think care, but they just want to be in the know so they can say, yeah, girl, I knew about that. Honey, you ain't telling me that. Let me tell you this. No, because you're not only actually you're exposing less about him and more about yourself, that you are not a good wife, that actually you are less than the wife that God had created you to be. And then you become like that scripture that talks about the nagging wife, where the husband has to go out on the roof. Ain't that the one? I think that's the one.
I think it's verse differently, but
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, though. It's pretty much where you running him out the house because he don't even want to be near you. I've seen so many times and heard so many times of husbands and wives that drive home, sit in the driveway, and they don't want to go in.
I did that.
What's going to be waiting for now?
I have done that in my first marriage.
Yeah, and I mean,
I sat in the driveway and cried because I didn't want to go in the house.
And I lose respect. I won't disrespect you, but I no longer respect you as a person that holds value in my life, in my space. I can't allow you to be there because what's valued has to be protected. So if you're going to share my nuggets that I have entrusted you with, then you don't value me.
Yeah.
Nor do you value the opportunity. Thank you so much. There it is.
Thank you, Eugene.
Nor do you value what I've done by opening my home. Anyone that knows me, there are people that still don't know where I live. There are people that don't know. They know we bought a house, but that's all they know. They know it has a red door. That's all they know. But there are those that are privileged to come into my home. When you come into my home, you're coming into my heart. You're coming into my space. I don't take that lightly. My home is like my bedroom. Everybody's not welcome there. And it's because you have to protect. You just have to protect it. You have to protect it.
Woo.
What was the other questions you might have had? We want to make sure.
I know there was one, and I kept trying to keep my memory about it. And it slipped my mind.
Okay. But I want to give to those of you who are watching the married couples on here tonight, what questions do you have? This is the safe place. What questions do you have? Whew, that was good. Y'all almost got me up running. I was like, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. What questions do you have, guys?
Okay, bring it back. You go back.
If not, we can go back to. All right. They talk about a person who keeps score of everything that they have done or everything their partner has done. A partnership is a team, not a competition.
I got it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I lost it again. How the heck did I do that?
Partnership and not competition. Yeah. Now that one is good because you want to compliment. You definitely don't want to compete. That's because when you're teamwork and you're covering each other. It is not about. It's about collaboration, not competition.
Yeah.
Right. And you want to make sure because you're complimenting each other through collaboration. That creates a level of synergy, right? With what you do together. And you're showing that you work well, not just, this is a very important piece here. You don't just work well publicly. Anyone can dress up. Anyone can play a role in public and look very good. We have
I remembered and I wrote it down. So
okay, we have a lot of actors and actresses that can perform very well, and you don't even know it. But your collaboration that creates a level of synergy, that builds a level of consistency, starts in the home. And so what you do at home, because really, honestly, you can only keep up a front but so long. Yeah. You can only pretend until that real true face shows. So collaboration in the home, teamwork in the home shows because it then spills out into society. And then the thing I love about it with teamwork, it becomes contagious. Not only do they see the husband and wife, but then other people begin to develop. You know what I'm saying? They begin to draw and get a lot from that. And I believe just with the piece of pointing things out in a checklist, on some level, not everyone has done it, but we have done it. We have to get rid of that childhood behavior that's underdeveloped, right? And we have to say, okay, I need to stop doing this. This is not good. This is not good, and I need to catch those behaviors and work on it because it's not you can't just snap your fingers and just come out of it. You have to work on that. It does create, as Pastor Tish was talking about, that nagging. And it will cause a person to really say, I don't really want to talk. I don't want to say nothing, because every time I talk about something, you always got to bring up stuff we've already resolved. You know what I'm saying? You still bringing up the same old checklist that was 3 years ago, 7 years ago, and you haven't closed those doors. When are you going to let that stuff go? That's, and that stuff it's dangerous. It's really dangerous. We have to remember that just as your husband makes a mistake, you're going to make a mistake too. Forgive. And that's my thing. Have you really forgiven? If you're putting check, if you're constantly reminding them, that's nitpicking, and you have to find a place where you have to come out of that, because the thing is, that's a language by itself. And if you constantly keep doing that, you can push that person away, and that person will shut down on you. They'll shut down on you and say, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything. And this is the part we have to be very careful with. If they're going to shut down on you, who else would they lend their ear to? So when you're in a marriage, you have to be careful, because we're human beings. We are emotional beings too. And so when you bring those things up and you begin to point fingers, you're stacking up. It's like stacking bricks. You're stacking, and you're constantly stacking, but it's really pessimistic in nature, right? And it doesn't help, because it devalues the marriage, and then it causes a tension in the hearts of both of you. So every time a person opens their mouth, it's like, here you come again with the same. Here you come again. You never, and it is you're never seeing the good side. You're never seeing where I'm developing, where I'm actually making progress. You're constantly looking at the same old area. Haven't I grown? Those are the things. Just really, haven't I grown? I mean, haven't I gotten to that place? Why do you keep harping on it? Cut me a break. And
so, I try to shine light on his growth moments, because I used to stack, but that was because of what I faced in my previous relationship, my previous marriage. But what I was doing, it wasn't intentionally being check marks, keeping score. My thing was, if we make a mistake, let's use it as a learning curve.
Right.
And so it was about wording.
That's good.
In your delivery. So don't say, or I don't suggest, I can't say don't. I don't suggest that you say, well, remember what you did last time? You remember how that ended? No. What I would turn around and say was, honey, well, the last time we were in this space, doesn't matter if he did it. We're one. If it affected him, it's affecting me. Right. So remember when we were here last time, and you are the head, and I back down to let you have that moment. But do you remember where we were? So I don't want this situation to become a repeat of that situation. So how can we not do that? So that is taking the moment of what went wrong, but using it to help us to not continue in that same vein. Right. And the other thing about stacking is, look at it this way. If you're standing here and your spouse is standing here, so there's this space right here, right? This is you, this is your spouse. You're taking this space and you're stacking, and you're stacking, and you're stacking, and you're stacking, and you've built a brick wall of shortcomings, right? Sure, now you no longer see your spouse. What do you see? You see every mistake that you keep tallying up against them. Wow. You keep seeing every area that they keep falling short in themselves, and you keep seeing how less of a man you are making him, because you no longer see the man, you see the mistakes of the man.
That's good.
That's good.
So, instead of taking that to stack against, to build your own case. And sometimes we stack so that we can do what we want to do.
Yeah.
That, no. Mm-hmm. Okay. I if it was me, I would expect you to feel the same way, honey. So how can we not fall back into this?
I love that.
I love that.
Differently. I love it. And she shared something
about
really
the
good.
Wording.
It's about the wording. And that's what we have to do. We have to always constantly shift or transition our language or how we convey our information. Like she said, well, let me say it differently. You have to do that, because when you're moving and growing, your language does change. It comes, like us, we're not, the way we converse is different from 2009.
Right.
I met him when I was 25. It's different. So you have to really be sure. And then this is something I use, reading books. I know that sounds, nerdish, but reading books, expanding your vocabulary. It's not always one way, it's more ways to converse and get your point. Get your point across. You had some other questions that you had. We want to make sure we kind of tackle all of them. We want,
I had that one about the married and the single.
The married and the single. Oh yeah. You can hit that one.
Oh, thinking of themselves as individuals.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I have coached and counseled a number of women and young ladies, right? And some of them don't really like my approach, no matter how nice that I try to bring it about. But my thing is this: if you do not see yourself being able to open up about something, to me, as small as finances, and the reason I say as small as finances, because this here can become this if you don't govern it the right way. So if you're going to let something that you both can manage together to grow together, if you're going to do that, you're not ready to be married. If you are not ready to be accountable to someone else, you're not ready to be married. And if you are married and you have this single mentality, I need to tell you right now, to anybody that's listening that might be dealing with this, you will not be married for long.
Wow.
Because when you get married, it's not 50-50, it's 100-100.
Yep.
Because when I come in, if I'm giving you 50% of me, where's the other 50 going?
Right.
And who am I giving it to? Who am I keeping it for? I got to pour everything about me into this. And because I can't expect you to be fully 100 with me, and I'm only giving you 80. I'm only giving you 75. I've got to be willing to give you all of that. If I am not ready to deal with, even some people have little things of the way you eat or the way you sleep, or if you don't want to share your bed every night, you are not ready to be married. And if you are married and you find yourself being more comfortable sleeping in the guest room, then honey, you need to go back to being a guest and go to your own place. Because that's what's going to happen. A marriage will not stand if no one has the marriage mentality. When you are single, let's just use a simple definition. 1. When you are married or joined, 2 become 1. And so if 2 become 1, you have to start learning how to not just think with your individual thought life, but you have to elevate that to become a conjoined thought life. You have to be willing to be the left side or the right side of the brain, and the other person be that other part. And you have to be able to be comfortable with saying, honey, I'm going here. Honey, I'm going to be with so-and-so. Honey, first of all, you are canceling any assignments the enemy may be plotting, especially if you are anointed and there is a powerful pull on your life and you walk in it. Because there's opportunity around every corner to tear down your name, to make a joke out of your ministry, and to cause others to not take you seriously. And so whether you have this call or whether you just are an example of a good marriage, you have to be accountable in every instance, because you kill suspicion. You kill those negative thoughts. I am open enough to tell my husband, when you shift the way you do things, sometimes it makes me, I have questions. Most of the time, I don't even ask the question. I just go ahead and give you what I'm saying, because the question is irrelevant. I shouldn't even have to ask him that question. I know this in my heart, but I'm also flesh. So that part of me wants to say, girl, he doing something. No, he's not. No, he's not. Let's not allow change to cause us to think that something is wrong. Somebody's doing something wrong. Those are seeds that need to be killed and not watered. But you cannot have a single mentality if you expect to be a successful spouse. That's good. So if you're going to be single, that's not spouse. If you're going to be a spouse, you cannot think that you are single. And so people, if you don't want to look, if you feel like I'm grown, I should have to tell them where I'm going. Look at it this way. If something happens to you, how's he going to find you? Men, I tell my husband all the time, baby, you a man and you strong, but there's somebody that can take you down. And that I will not deal with. I need to know where my husband is in case I need to roll up. Because I'm gonna roll up. I don't see nobody else in my life not at this level. And I'm not trying to rebuild.
Right.
That's in God's hands. But while I got you, we gonna keep you. I got the means to make it happen. But I'm gonna roll up. I need to know where's my husband. I need to know. And so we do that because
Right.
I think it's selfish for any spouse to just go. And then you've been gone for hours. And then you didn't check in to say, hey, babe, you good? Hey, honey, you all right? Well, I'm just letting you know I'm with Lisa. You know, we just over here at the mall or we're over here doing this. But I realized that I've been out for like 3 hours and baby, I ain't even touched back to you.
Right.
You know, that if you have a single mentality, it's okay to get counseling. It's okay to get coaching, but do what you need to do individually so that you can be healthy holistically.
Yeah.
To answer the question for Tanya, we've been married 12 years. Next year will be 13. So 12 strong years. The Lord has blessed us, and we're continuing.
How long were we dating?
And only 5 months.
5 months.
Only 5 months. So yeah. So it that was a journey. That's a long story. We have 12 years we've been married, and we're just truly blessed to continue this journey to help people. I wanted to share something Pastor Tish was saying was really good. I think about with singles and married life. I think it's important for single people to shadow folks who are married, shadow somebody who inspires. Good marriages. Shadow someone, and ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of and be intentional. Be intentional with your questions, even if you have to write them down. Because that's going to help you to prepare yourself as you engage into that new world, because it is a different language, and making sure that you have someone along that journey, you know what I'm saying, that you can really get a lot from. We live in a world with a lot of information being pumped, a lot of information, and sometimes we can grab the wrong information.
Yeah.
But be intentional about grabbing the information is going to make you healthy and successful. And then just making sure you're talking to the right people. Be more proactive and not reactive. And what I mean is, don't respond to the environment, that is bad, but be proactive and say, you know what, I'm going to engage. I'm looking to be married one day. I'm looking to have a husband, or I'm looking to have a wife. Let me get around someone that has a good marriage that is bearing fruit. I'll say that again, a good marriage that is bearing fruit. Because you can go to some trees, and some trees are just naked and have no leaves and no fruit. And I call those are false trees. They're plastic plants. Actually, plastic plants are not producing anything. But make sure you get around people. And even if you're single and you've been in a place for a while, and you're saying, maybe it'll never happen. Change how you think about that. Just be patient. Allow God to. And for a woman, I would say just be in a position in place where God can allow the man to discover you and find you. Always, have yourself into the, engage into the things of God, but always allow God to have you in the space, because it will come a time that the man will discover you. But it's all about environment and where you are. All right. Everything's about surrounding who you are, even men of God, even if you're looking, be in that place mentally, spiritually, preparing and role playing and preparing yourself, for that day when it comes. I think a lot of times we can become impatient and not wait out the process, but the process is good for us because it's preparing and making us ready. I know for me, transparently, me and my wife was just talking about this a couple of days ago. I was enjoying my singlehood. We both were, living it up, and then all of a sudden, we came together, but we embraced those places in our life. And then when it was time, it was time. Don't rush it. Don't be desperate. Desperate causes a lot of errors. Being desperate causes a lot of mistakes, and being thirsty is not a good look. So we have to be mindful of that. Will you say something?
I just wanted to add to that piece, and that's for married couples and for those who are looking to be married. Just look at it like this: when it comes to maintaining, when it comes to building, and even having to restore a house that has already been built on a foundation, the foundation can no longer be fixed. So if you built that house on a faulty foundation, you're going to have to tear the whole house down.
Mm.
You have to tear the whole house down or come to an agreement to move together to a healthier place. And I mean, move forward into healthy thinking, healthy, open conversation, even counseling if necessary, coaching if necessary, individual, because there are some things in me that my husband cannot join in to try and fix because this is a Tish thing. But in order for us to work together going forward, Tish got to fix those broken pieces that he had nothing to do with. He had nothing to do with those pieces. So I'm not going to make him sit here and try to put together a jigsaw puzzle and he doesn't even have he doesn't have all the pieces he needs to make the picture complete. It's not his job to complete me. It is his open welcome to join me in completing ourselves and completing each other. But he's not coming in to complete me. I didn't come to complete him. We came to complete each other as one by coming together. Because if he's just to complete me, then what happens to him?
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'm sorry. Another thing is, don't always ask God to change your mate. Stop asking God to change your mate. If somebody, I don't know, I just heard that. Don't ask God another day to change your mate. And I'm going to tell you why. Because that's going to pull the plug on your marriage. Life support, done. The marriage is done. And the reason being is this, and it's very simple. Who we are today, we're on the same level, right? But if I ask God to change him, he goes forward. God changes him and makes him better. But guess what? I didn't ask God to change me.
Wow.
So if God didn't change me, but he changed my husband, what happens? We're no longer compatible. So now we don't have a marriage that works. We have a marriage that is holding on to broken pieces and trying to maintain itself. So I stopped asking God to change him. And I started asking God to change me because I wanted to be a better wife. I wanted to be a better friend. I wanted to be a better business partner, but I wanted to be his better. I wanted to be his better. I didn't want to be his mediocre. I didn't want to be his okay. I wanted to be his ace. And so in order for that to happen, when God, and I knew if you make me his ace, you're going to make him my ace because I'm doing it so that I can stay in alignment with him. So if you don't want me to get ahead of him, you're going to pull him right on up. And we've had the conversation where he and I talked about noticing the growth in each other and coming to that understanding that, you know what? I may ask God to do a lot of things, but I will never ask God to change my husband again. And we made that agreement. If I see something off in him, God, what's not right in me? Right. Because it's not always that the mate, your spouse is off. It's that you have not leveled up to where you're supposed to be. Wow. And the reason you don't recognize them is because you don't recognize the next level that they've already stepped into. Why? Because you were so busy focused on them that you didn't give God what he needed, the time that he needed to bring you up to the same level.
Yeah. Yeah. Your spouse is not your savior. They're your soulmate. They're not your savior. And I think we have to be mindful of that. And and don't go back to what broke you. If you've healed, don't go back and grab what broke you. I think a lot of times we do that. We don't close those doors.
And see, I learned by surrounding myself by those that had been broken, but did not return back to what broke them. Right. They didn't go back and pick up those pieces and say, I need it because it's familiar. I need it because it's comfortable. Let me help you with another analogy. Here's the thing. If your favorite glass you always drink out of like clockwork, this is my cup. I love it. I love it. If it drops and it shatters and you just go to grab it because it's your favorite, what happens to your hand? 9 out of 10, it's bleeding. It's hurt you more than it has helped you. So anytime the pieces have been broken, let God sweep those away, sanitize the area and make it safe for you to heal and walk again. Because if you try to go back and get those pieces, you're going to damage yourself even more. You will hinder your healing. You will hold up your progress. You will hold up the process and you will hinder your growth in order to get someone else into your life. You'll not be in a place where God can actually send someone, because God's not going to send the healed to be broken. So he won't send the healed to the broken, because if I'm broken, I'm going to break him.
I think, yeah, that was a lot. It was. I saw we saw someone had a comment, I believe, on there. I wasn't sure.
It was somebody saying that they had been married and they
Oh,
were.
that was off the patch. She was talking about being married before.
She had been married and God, she fixed all of the
Okay,
areas.
okay.
And that's very important.
And I think it was also great that you had a single Tanya. She talked about that she had to change her thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do that.
Yeah, shared.
Yeah, you do have to do that, because Pastor Tish was saying something earlier about changing your thinking and something about TV shows and stuff. You do have to be careful, because the realities, or the world we live in, has a lot of different realities, and we have to stick to what's true, and then how we're going to change, or what we're going to do to become better or improve our way of thinking. Our thought life is one of the most I won't say critical, but one of the most important pieces of everyday living. And sometimes we have to detox our thoughts, right? We have to detox our thoughts so we can become better and healthier. And detoxing the thoughts is also that ties it to, because we're a three-part being, our spirit, making sure it's, and our soul. Because sometimes we have soul trauma. We have soul trauma, and it's unresolved. And so and we can suppress or be unaware of it, and it manifests or comes up later. So it's important, like Pastor say, you got to heal. You got to go deep. You got to go deep. And sometimes it may go back to childhood, adolescence. But whatever you do, be intentional about it. Do it. Take the therapy up, she said. Take the coaching. You make sure you have a subject matter expert to help you navigate through those layers of pain.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't. We suppress and we develop that habit so long that we don't even talk about it. And then when it does come up, it comes up at the wrong time, right? It's like snatching a Band-Aid off of a scab real quick. We just snatching it off. It just happens. And now, whoa, the wound is open. And those deep wounds have to be addressed. We have to be, as a key word we talked about tonight, vulnerable, and saying, okay, let me embrace. This is a part that's, I think, important. And let me embrace my pain. I know that's a lot to say right there, but I need to embrace this. This hurt. This was done to me. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like what was done to me by that person or what they said or did. But now, what am I going to do to now heal?
Yeah.
Because we know the saying, hurt people hurt people. And so how do I make sure I take the sting out, the venom out, so that I don't take this into another relationship? I don't take this into another union, and then now I'm divorced. It's a third divorce. It's a fourth divorce. It's a fifth, and it's not working. And statistics state, after your second one, I believe, you begin to spiral down a pattern of just breaking up. So you have to be aware of patterns. You have to be aware that you, as a person, we have rhythms. We have, we have patterns, rhythms, behaviors, and sometimes we have to change those things. And if we struggle with a pessimistic mentality, we have to constantly reevaluate our narrative of thinking. Every day our feet touches the floor, we must be intentional about our thought life. And how we're engaging in this world, because again, by being three-part beings, there are three different worlds, right? Our soul world, our spirit world, our natural world. Those are worlds that we're constantly engaged and involved with. What is the healthy levels, right? Are we at 60%? Are we at 70%? Or are we on life support? We have to be intentional and make sure we're healthy, because those three parts are involved in our marriage.
That's right.
And if those things are not, I won't say perfect, but if they're not healthy, what happens is it shows up. It shows up. Or like I say, the ugly shows. And we don't. So sometimes we can tend more to our body and negate our soul. We can negate our soul, and we just like, oh yeah, the soul is okay. No, you need to deal with soul care, soul therapy. How are you treating yourself? What are you doing to make sure that your soul is healthy? And so yeah, it's a lot to that.
Amen.
I'll tell you this very quickly. To all of the married couples, they say you are what you eat. I say you will have what you seed. You'll have what you seed. So before I was married, I sold into married couples.
That's
I would
good.
take the wife, let's go get some lingerie because you're going to work it tonight, boo. I would go and get a bag and I would put in bubbly. I would put in different things in there and I would give it to a married couple. And I would say, take this and have some us time. Take care of yourselves. I just really believed in doing those things, even if it wasn't a monetary, but I always tried to speak life into someone's relationship. I always tried to help them to see things from the other side, though I hadn't been married at that time. And then even when I had my failed marriage, survivor of physical abuse, not being able to talk, all of these different things going on. And now I am in a space where I can speak my mind and it's not met with a response of a fist. I can speak my mind and it's not met with retaliation by going to sleep with someone. I'm in that space that God called me to be in. So now I want you to have that opportunity and have preventive counseling. I can't give all the tidbits on that, but that's something that's coming forward soon. But it doesn't have to be broke to keep maintenance.
That's right.
That's good.
So yeah, that's it.
We maintain our cars, don't we? Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
we go to the doctors. Most of us,
doctor, right? Yeah.
So have a marital checkup. It's okay.
Yeah. This has been powerful for me. I guess you guys saw me shifting and sitting up straight. I forget. I was like, Lord, I feel like I was in the audience too. I was like, I'm gonna take it all in. Thank you guys again for joining me tonight. We have been coming out here just trying to bring hope and joy and peace and strength to those who join in. A lot of requests, to do a marriage session. And as you can see, they have been so engaged. So thank you for doing this.
I've enjoyed it.
I love seeing the comments about people, saying, hey, I need to change my way of thinking, or this has been good, or I need to stop saying this in my marriage. So I just thank God for that. Because if one person,
tell you a secret too.
Yeah, one person walk away and say, I need to do something different, then I just thank God that he did what he
Absolutely.
And that is awesome.
Thank you, Marisha. It was a great session. Go ahead, Dr. Tish.
When you were talking about the fireplace that you put together, that's what we were doing yesterday. So we had put it together, and he knows me. I will put it together by myself. But it was something that I really wanted us to do together because, sometimes you got to snatch the time.
That's good.
You have to snatch the time and create moments. So we had one of the movies we like to watch, had it playing, but not something you have to pay attention to, but something that when you look at it, you know exactly what part it is, but you have to snatch the time. You have to create those moments. Okay, so we don't have time to do this. Well, you know what? Let's just you want to ride with me to Walmart? Guess what? Y'all just have 45 minutes to talk, to laugh, and not look at what it was you were doing to spend time together, but that you were spending time together. So I'm learning. I used to always say, we don't get to spend time. We don't get to spend time. And I always looked over it and didn't realize when I cooked him breakfast and we ate together, that was 30 minutes I got to spend with him. And then we can prepare for something later on in the evening. But I was the first person he spent time with this morning next to God. Snatch those moments, people. Create those moments, because those are the memories and those are the times that are going to get you through when it starts to get a little hot in certain areas, when it gets a little difficult. You'll be able to look back at, you know what? We didn't have any money to go and spend the night at a hotel. Spend a week at a hotel. But that one night that we were able to get away, I know it was worth it. It was all worth it. So that's why I was saying, wow, we were doing the same thing. I made that moment with him, and we sat and we even ate dinner together while we were putting it together. Wow. So we just decided to encompass everything. I believe in vertical intimacy just as much as horizontal. But the vertical is going to stand. The horizontal, the bed, it's temporary. That's your coming together. That's your bam. But when we sit up and talk in bed till 3 a.m, to me, that's some sexy type of intimacy.
Yes, it is.
That's that intimacy where you just take every moment. And for the married people, it don't have to only be in the bed, baby. You can create a whole other world somewhere else and go back to that world when you can't physically get to it. Take you in your mind. And you're going to be saying, yo, nah, I'm not going out tonight. Nah, I'm getting ready to log out. I'm going upstairs.
I love y'all.
We love you too.
I feel like I need a part 2 and part 3. We were just going somewhere.
Yeah, we're all for it. Just let us know.
Preach. Thank you, Mr. Eugene, Marisha. Thank you, guys. This has been so wonderful. I want to make sure that you guys can see Relationship Empowerment 2016 at gmail.com. It's how you can get in contact with them. Trisha Pat says, come on. Yeah, Eugene, we were going somewhere else. We need a part 2 and part 3. Yeah. So keep it 100. And again, they did. So I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. You understand why I had to have them on here. Authentic. You can feel the love. You can see the love. The respect, though, is what I appreciate the most. Just the respect that you guys have for one another. It shows. And I appreciate that. So you guys are getting a lot of love. Thanks, Ed, for joining.
Thank you. I just want to say I love all of you. All of you. And we want you to have nothing but the best of success.
Oh, and Newlywed. Well, congratulations, Newlywed.
All right, Tanya. We here if you need us, boo.
6 years.
6 years in. All right, Tanya.
You got it, honey. You went past year number 1 and you made it through year number 2. You on the roll.
Well, this is how you can contact them, guys. Do us a favor. Just like you have gotten something out of this, if you feel that others would benefit from this video, please like it, share it as much as possible, and we'll see if we can get them back. Maybe sometime for a second session, but you can reach out to them again, Relationship Empowerment 2016 at gmail.com. One thing that they said, again, hurt people. If you have a lot of suppressed hurt, that's where we come in. Reach out to us at foreverhealed.com. We love you. Have a peaceful night and some strong marriages. Amen.
Yes.
We love you guys. You guys hang on. Good night, everybody.
Good night.